Every once in a while, a coin slips through the mint's quality control and emerges with a twist in its story, an unintended strike, a missing detail, a ghost image, that sends collectors scrambling. Today, 2 quarters from the turbulent 1960s carry such quirks and whisper of extra value lurking in your pocket change. The first, struck in 1965 when the U.S. was deep in the transition from silver to clad coinage, can surprise even seasoned collectors with a doubling error so subtle it can be missed at a glance. The second, from 1968, reveals a rotated die mishap that transforms an everyday Washington quarter into a prized rarity. Both coins share an era of upheaval, rising inflation, shifting metal prices, and changing mint policies. Yet each era tells its own tale of metal, machinery, and human oversight. Stick around as we unravel the story behind the 1965 quarter's most coveted mistake, why it happened, how to spot it, and what it might be worth in your collection. Let's jump in. Back in 1965, the U.S. Mint faced a silver shortage so severe that Congress removed silver from quarters and dimes altogether. Prior to that year, quarters were 90% silver, afterward they were copper-nickel clad. In the chaos of updating dies and adjusting alloys, a small number of 1,965 quarter dies carried a leftover hub impression, a weak second strike that doubled parts of George Washington's profile and the lettering on the obverse. That doubling wasn't supposed to be there. It occurred because hubbing presses sometimes impressed the die twice without proper realignment, a process known today as double die. Collectors didn't notice it right away, early price guides barely mentioned it. But as word spread in specialist magazines and at coin shows, examples became hot tickets. This doubling shows up most clearly on the motto, Liberty, where the letters appear shadowed, and on the hair above Washington's ear, which seems to bloom into a faint second ridge. What makes the 1965 double-die quarter rare is how few survived in collectible condition. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 1.6 billion quarters that year, but estimates suggest only a few thousand show the clear hub doubling, fewer still in high grades. To spot one, hold the coin under bright light at a slight angle. Look for a crisp outline behind the primary letters of Liberty and a faint twin line along the bottom of the date. On the reverse, doubling can echo in the ribbons tying the eagle's feathers or in the E Pluribus Unum banner. It isn't a broad, cartoon-style doubling, it's a ghost-like echo that rewards a careful eye. Many collectors mistake heavy bag marks or die deterioration for the real thing, so a magnifier or loop is essential. The rarity of a clear, well-defined double die on such a modern date is what drives serious interest, and premiums, among specialists. Auction records over the past decade show how demand climbed once graders began awarding high numeric grades to 1965 double dies. In 2015, a VF30 example sold for about $75. By 2020, a single $55 Australian piece fetched $350 when certified by a top grading service. The real explosion came for MS63 and above. An MS63 sold for $800 in 2022, and an MS65, remarkable for a clad quarter, brought $400 in early 2024. The highest certified MS66 example crossed the block at $600 in March 2025, setting the modern record for this error type on a 1965 quarter. These prices reflect both growing collector awareness and the appeal of owning a high-grade modern era. Even circulated pieces with clear doubling can demand 5 to 10 times what a regular 1965 quarter trades for in pocket change. Beyond the technical thrill, this quarter carries little stories that fascinate. One collector traced a DSP, Denver, provenance piece back to a cashier's drawer in rural Kansas, where it lay unnoticed until someone inspected it under a jeweler's loupe. Another appeared in a charity donation bin, prompting a local coin club to raise funds by selling it to support scholarships. In specialist forums, collectors debate whether the doubling occurred on hub number 1 or hub number 2, each hubbing stage left slightly different patterns, and some even argue for an unofficial variety classification based on where the doubling is strongest. That level of nuance keeps advanced collectors engaged. You're not just buying a mistake, you're buying a piece of minting history that can still yield new discoveries. Condition matters more than with most modern coins, because clad metal doesn't hold fine detail as well as silver. A lightly circulated double die quarter with soft doubling might sell for $100 to $150, depending on eye appeal. In XF45, where roughly half the mint luster remains and doubling shows crisply on we and trust, values climb toward $250. Once you reach MS60, MS62, coins start selling for $400 to $600. Above MS63, grading nuances dominate price. MS64 pieces can command $1,000 to $1,500, while MS65 pushes beyond $2,000. Ultra gem examples, pristine, with full mint frost and razor-sharp doubling, are the crown jewels, bringing 5 figures if the strike is bold and the surfaces are clean. It's a steep scale, rewarding those who seek out the best survivors rather than settling for any double die. With its subtle ghost image and the drama of a nationwide silver shortage behind it, the 1965 double die quarter stands as a modern classic in error collecting. It proves that even in an era of mass production, a few coins will slip through with stories worth chasing. Up next, we'll explore another mid-decade surprise, the 1968 Washington quarter that rotated its reverse die just enough to catch the eye of sharp collectors, and to fetch a surprising premium at auction. Stay with us as we turn this coin over and uncover what makes its twist so captivating. Thought for a second. The die that struck the 1968 Washington quarter was never meant to sit crooked, but for a small batch of coins, the reverse die tilted ever so slightly before stamping the eagle and inscriptions. That tiny rotation, often just 5 to 15 degrees, turns an ordinary Washington quarter into a sought-after, rotated die variety. Unlike the doubling on the 1965 piece, this error shows up as a misalignment between the obverse portrait and the reverse eagle. Turn the coin one way, and the eagle appears tipped, turn it the other, and the portrait leans. It's a visual quirk that leaps out to anyone who handles the coin, even without magnification. 1968 quarters were minted in Philadelphia, no mint mark, and at Denver, with a D. Total production was enormous, over 650 million coins across both mints, but rotated dies are estimated to appear in maybe one in every 50,000 to 100,000 pieces, making survivors rare enough to excite advanced collectors yet common enough that you might stumble upon one in a dealer's box. The rotation happens when the die retention screws aren't fully seated, allowing the die to shift under the force of striking. Because the presses strike about once every 3 seconds, even a small rotation before the next strike creates a distinct variety. Spotting a rotated die quarter is straightforward. Place the coin flat under good light. Hold it by the rim and rotate the coin itself 180 degrees, you should see Washington's head flip to the bottom and the eagle flip to the top. On a normal quarter, the eagle will appear perfectly upright when the portrait is upside down. On a rotated die error, the eagle will be tilted. If the tilt is more than a few degrees, you've got the variety. The most dramatic examples show the eagle leaning noticeably toward the rim, with the United States of America arching unevenly. Collectors measure the angle of rotation. Common varieties include 10, 12, and 15-degree rotations, with the larger angles commanding bigger premiums because they're scarcer. Market values for 1968 rotated die quarters vary by rotation degree, mint, and condition. A modest 10-degree rotation in circulated condition might trade for $20 to $30, 5 to 8 times face value, but still within reach for most collectors. A sharper 15-degree rotation in XF40 can fetch $75 to $100. Denver examples, D, mint mark, typically carry a small premium over Philadelphia, since rotated dies there were slightly less common. Once you reach mint state, prices climb quickly. MS60 12-degree pieces often sell for $150 to $200. An MS-63 15-degree Denver rotation recently brought $650 at auction, and an MS-65 example with a bold tilt realized $200. The record so far is a 17-degree rotation, exceedingly rare, in MS-66, which went for $800 in late 2024. Why do collectors love these rotated die quarters? First, the error is obvious and dramatic. It's impossible to mistake once you know what to look for. Second, the story ties into the human side of minting, a momentary lapse in tightening a die retention screw, a split-second shift under massive pressure, and suddenly you have a collectible. Third, the geometry appeals to the eye, the uneven lettering arc, the skewed eagle wings, it all creates visual tension. In online auctions, rotated die quarters often spark bidding wars among error coin specialists and Washington quarter completists alike. Beyond the technical details, a few anecdotes give life to the 1968 rotated die. One collector found a 12-degree rotated D coin in change at a fast food restaurant, recognized it on the spot, and posted photos that same day. By evening, 6 dealers were offering to buy it. Another piece, a 15-degree rotation in near-gem condition, was discovered in a state sales tax overpayment bin. The finder donated half the proceeds to a local museum, framing the story as a gift back to the community. At a major error coin convention in 2023, a dealer displayed both a 10-degree and a 15-degree rotated die side by side, inviting attendees to compare the visual impact, a simple exhibit that drew one of the longest lines at the show. Condition again plays a huge role. Circulated rotated die quarters with heavy wear often lose the sharpness of the tilt, wear can mask the rotation by softening the rim and lettering, so only bold errors stand out. In VF20 VF30 grades, collectors pay $25 to $40 for a clear rotation. In XF45, where wings and letters are crisp, values jump to $60, $90. Mint state coins, with full luster and unbroken rims, command the most attention. MS62 goes for $120, $180. MS64 can top $500 if the rotation is 12 degrees or more. MS65 and above break the 4-figure barrier when the strike and surfaces are flawless. What makes the 1968 rotated die quarter endure is its combination of accessibility and drama. You don't need a microscope, just a keen eye and a willingness to flip your coins. Even seasoned collectors enjoy the hunt. These errors lurk in pocket change, mint sets, and dealer boxes. And because rotation degrees vary, there's always a new variant to chase. Whether you're adding to an error coin collection or seeking a standout Washington quarter, the 1968 rotated die offers a tangible connection to the minting process and a collectible that's as engaging to find as it is to own. Next, we'll wrap up by comparing these two mid-60s gems, one hiding a double die ghost, the other wearing its tilt proudly, and share tips on building a balanced collection of modern era quarters.